Good morning and welcome to today's Thursday Thought. Well, this past Saturday was a perfectly normal day in our household. We were thoroughly ensconced in our home out of the bitter cold and wind. We were taking the day easy as the latest polar vortex was screaming outside. The cold had come into the Great Plains a couple of days before, and we weren't just really eager to get out into it. As we were watching an NFL game on the TV, we got a call from Laura, our daughter-in-law, telling us that they had taken their house cat, Max, to the emergency veterinary clinic. The news wasn't good. Max, a 17-year-old cat rescued from a shelter as a youngster and who had been with the family from the beginning, wasn't going to get better. His organs were shutting down, and he had not long to live, even with intensive and expensive intervention. Rachel, our oldest grand, came into the family about the same time that Max did. All the kids have ever known was Max, the house cat. Mild-mannered, Max allowed little kids to pull his tail, to grab him, and to love him in the ways that little kids sometimes do. And when he'd had enough of their play, he just disappeared somewhere until a better time. He became very adept at being on the floor in the middle of a lot of feet, but seldom being stepped on. He developed some really good moves while navigating the crowds of kids and grown-ups. And later on, he could often be found on the back of the sofa or on someone's lap, just cooling his heels and looking wise. Max was the epitome of calm in the storm of 6 kids and 2 adults in the same house. This was going to be a tough rest of the day because we knew that Max would not be coming back home. Tough on the grandkids, tough on Laura and Scott, tough on us all. Well, Scott and Laura had left Max at the clinic where they had taken him and received the news that they didn't want to hear, while they went back to the house to break the news to the kids. Just before they left the clinic, they called and told us what was going on. We volunteered to go to the house and to be with them when they let the kids know. So we bundled up against the cold and the wind, and we got to the house a few minutes before Laura and Scott, telling the grands once we were there that we had come out to watch them until their parents had gotten back. After a while, Laura and Scott came home. We gathered around the dining table, and the news was broken to the kids. And it didn't take long for the kids themselves to be broken. Well, we worked through the news about Max for the next 30 minutes or so around the table. Any of the kids who wanted to see Max one last time could go back with us to the clinic. But if one or more wanted to stay home, we would stay with them. Well, all of them wanted to go. Son Michael and grand Estella had come down from Hutchinson after hearing the news to be with everyone too, and I'm grateful that they chose to come and support us all. So we all gathered our coats, our favorite comfort stuffed animals and so on, and we went back to the clinic. At the clinic there was a family room, you might say, that we could use to say our goodbyes to Max. They brought Max in, and we spent a good 45 minutes or so with him, with Scott holding him. Each of the kids got to sit next to him for a time. We talked, we cried, we wiped tears, we held, and we even laughed from time to time. Finally, Scott was ready. The veterinarian came in, told us what she would be doing, and she carried it out. Max went peacefully over the Rainbow Bridge, helped and stroked and loved by his family. They decided to take Max home and bury him on the family property. The clinic prepared a bag and a box for Max. They took his paw prints to give to the family, and we started out for home. It was over. Well, I tell you this story to say that even though Pat and I knew Max very well, he wasn't our cat. His family was Scott and Laura and the kids. Yet I felt pretty much drained a couple of hours after coming home from the clinic. These things take an emotional toll even on those of us who are a little more detached from the situation than others. and provide support for the grieving. And you know, I can't imagine how the veterinary staff emotionally handles these types of things. By the way, that is the staff, they did great. Caring, communicating, compassionate. I have nothing but praise for them and for the physical facilities, which had family rooms for these kinds of things. They had televisions, crayons, and so on to keep the younger kids occupied. They had water, snacks, and restrooms for us if needed. And on the way home from the clinic, I told Pat that what we did, being with the family, was important tonight. I think it mattered that we were there. I think it mattered that we cared. I think it mattered that Uncle Mike and Cousin Estella came down from Hutchinson. I think it mattered that we were grieving along with them. The days will go on. Max is buried on the home place, and he will forever be in the hearts of those of us who were his family. These things are never easy, but in this broken creation, they are necessary until the day that all death will be abolished forever. As the song says, what a day, glorious day that will be. Blessings.